Chosen one, I saw your most hidden moment from the last few months, and it confirms you are on the brink of a massive shift. Don't skip this, because what you discover will unlock a forgotten truth about your strength and warn you about the silent trap that's kept it hidden. What you've been calling doubt isn't really doubt. An old system is still giving grades on a case that is already over. I know something specific about the past few months of your life. Chosen one. It happened more than one night that you lay there in the dark, staring at nothing, going over everything in your mind one more time, trying to figure out when you must have made a mistake. In a moment, I will explain why you will never find proof of your own failure. Even though you are looking for it, since it's not there, it was never there. You are going to understand why passing a test doesn't really feel like snorts passing before this message ends. It may be the first time since it happened that you feel like you can stop playing it over and over again. You will leave with the two things that are chosen. One needs to receive what has already been given. Don't just stand at the door and refuse to let them in without realizing it. I'm not going to believe anything I say just because I say it the way I would explain the pattern to someone standing in my living room. I'm going to show it to you piece by piece. As I go, I want you to test every word of it against your own life. Here's something that you will know right away. You recently heard someone be nice to you. But before you can stop yourself, snorts, you make up a reason why it doesn't matter. The first thing you do when a door opens is look behind it for a trap. That's not being careful. That is a habit. That reflex works in a certain way. There is a name for it. And I will tell you what that name is in a moment, but for now, know this. It didn't begin with the test you just went through. That was a long time ago. And the trial just brought it to the surface so you could see it. That fact alone should make you feel better right now, because it means the problem was never your character. It was a machine that was quietly working under everything and giving you grades based on a standard that no one ever showed you. And unlike character flaws, mechanisms can be fixed. If you just woke up and paid attention, type "I see it now" below this message to let me know you are still with me for what's next. This message is meant for a certain type of person, and you certainly think you are that person because you are still listening. Let me tell you what makes that group unique, because realizing that you belong there is the first step you can take. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings, it is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual link in the description. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily, morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. There was no sign that things would ever change with you, but you kept going to the situation anyway. It wasn't because you were strong, but because a quieter part of you wouldn't leave the post. That's the first sign. There was a point in time when you said something honest to God that didn't sound like a well-thought-out prayer. It could have been anger. It might have sounded like a question you didn't want to ask out loud in your heart. You've been afraid that moment disqualified you. It didn't. You asked about the second sign, and I'll explain why in a moment. Your body has changed because of the season. It got harder to sleep. The jaw got tighter. People around you either didn't understand what you were going through or got tired of hearing about it. So, you became quieter. It's not that you didn't have anything to say. You learned what it would cost to say it. That's the fourth and third sign. And you're the kind of person who can't fully relax. Even now that the worst of it is over, because you're still holding on, still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Those are the fifth signs, and this whole message is based on them. Also, I want to be clear. This message won't hit home with everyone who hears it. And that's fine. If none of those things sound like your last season, you may just be at a different point in your story right now. That doesn't mean you are less chosen. It just means that this message isn't what your spirit needs right now. That being said, if it sounds like you, I know something else. There was one ordinary thing in the last part of your trial. A chair, a window, or a stretch of highway that you can't look at without getting a little tight in the chest, because your mind quietly marked it as the spot where the worst part happened. An old story is told about a man who lost almost everything. He sat in the wreckage of his own life, snorts, and refused to believe any of his friends' weak excuses for what was happening. He did not make peace. He fought. The man asked. He spoke to heaven in ways that a polite person would never have. History will not remember him as someone who failed the test by being honest about his pain, but as someone whose ending was restored in a way that made his beginning look small. Most people don't notice this about that story. The repair money did not come all at once. There was a set order to them. And that order is more important than the wreckage he survived. Since that was never the real test, it was what he did with what came after it. A lot of retellings skip the middle part and go straight to the end. As if it didn't matter. It was very important. In the middle, before the restoration came, he had to stop pretending to have an answer that he didn't have and start being honest about what he didn't understand. What makes the rest of the story work is that one change from acting to being honest. Which is something that almost all retellings leave out. He didn't get anything for finally saying the right religious things. He felt better after he stopped saying any performed words and just told the truth about how lost and confused he really was. Chosen one, it was never a red flag if your honest prayers during your trials sounded more like his than like a greeting card. In fact, that was the one that was better. As the chosen one, you are exactly where he was, on the edge of surviving something and getting what comes next. And it's not a secret why that hinge point feels so awkward, unresolved, and far from the celebration you were after. It has a way of working. Let me show you it the right way. Now, this is the pattern I want you to see in your own life. You can't take it away once you see it. You finish something tough just minutes, sometimes seconds after you get through something you weren't sure you'd make it through. Make it through. Your mind is already going over it again. Not to celebrate, but to find the part you did badly. This is something you do so quickly and without thinking that you don't even see it as a choice. It's like being honest with yourself. It makes you feel humble. Some of you have said it's about staying stable. Some of you have said it's not getting ahead of yourself. None of those things are really happening. Being humble doesn't mean looking for signs of failure in a real victory. Being humble means that you can just take good news and enjoy it. This is not what humility looks like. It's a reflex. And since reflexes are installed rather than chosen, they can be taken away. This shape has shown up in person after person who went through a real trial the right way. That's why I named it. The phrase decline effect wasn't given to me by a lab. I just chose it because that's how it looks on the inside. Something bright and open that is slowly getting darker while everyone else around you says it's just growing up. This is the part that will make a difference for you. A compliment lands on a very young child and stays there. Something good happens and the child doesn't look for the trap right away. They learn that being open is not the same as being naive. Brainwave research describes this state of mind as wide, curious, and fully receiving. Children are much more likely than most adults to be in this state of mind. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool, everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. It's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now, stay right here with me because as this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus's plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says, this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. That openness started to slowly close down the time most of us stopped being kids. You learned to doubt good things before you could fully feel them. Not because of one big event that hurt you, but because of 1,000 small lessons that happened over time. You learned how to find the mistake in school. When you compare things, you learn to find the gaps. And somewhere inside you, the part that could just accept a good verdict without checking it for mistakes stopped talking. The decline effect is that quieting down. It is not a flaw in their character. In fact, it's not even really about you. You are a fully capable person with a dimmed instrument inside you. That's why you didn't feel like passing when you did. While giving the grade, you used a tool that had been turned down long before the test started. For those years, you saw good things happen around you, but never quite felt them inside. It wasn't because you weren't appreciating your own life. Those were times when you were playing a dimly lit instrument in a world that kept giving you things it couldn't fully receive. You never caused trouble. Chosen one, that was the dimmer. Before we go any further, I want you to do this with that right now. Please remember a simple event that happened to you before you turned 8 years old. Not a big deal. A doorway, a smell, or the way the light in a room where you used to sit in the afternoon feels different. Hold it for one breath and pay attention to how your chest feels. There is no nostalgia in that flicker you just felt. That is the frequency that is still there waiting below all the other frequencies that were added on top of it. Before I go on, I want to mark this spot for you because this is where you first heard the name dimmer. Put the words restoration is mine below this message right now if you want to remember it. Some of you may have felt that flicker already. These words are for you. If you said yes, no need to worry if you haven't felt anything yet. Don't leave me yet. Everything I say next still applies to you. The dimmed instrument, also known as the decline effect, that I just talked about is real. What happened to you during your trial is only half of what was said. I'm not going to start the second half yet because you need to see it put together correctly piece by piece the way we are going to do it. Now I can tell you that there are two different tools for this kind of restoration. They were made by two different researchers who did not work together or know each other and spent decades studying different parts of the same dimming from two different angles. One is called the Genius Song, and it's a short piece of carefully calibrated sound that was made to slowly bring that instrument back to life. The other one is called the Wealth Signal, and it was made to help you with the second part of what happened. I'll give it the right name later in this message. This is the most important part right now. One brings back what was lost and the other makes room for what was lost. They only work that way for a reason you will fully understand before this message ends in the description and the pinned comment below this message. They are both waiting for the person they belong to. You don't need either one to get what I'm about to give you, but you'll know what to do if your spirit leaned forward when I said their names. Imagine a Tuesday morning a few months from now. That isn't all that exciting. The alarm goes off before you even have a chance to think. When you do, something in your chest feels different and lighter in a way that you can't quite explain to anyone who asks. You lie there for a while. The usual knot under your ribs that you feel as soon as you open your eyes isn't there. Someone texts you good morning, which is a small but nice thing to do. Instead of thinking about what they might want from you right away, you just read it and smile without meaning to. That Tuesday, you do the same things. You always do work, errands, and the same tired list. But somewhere in the middle of it all, a coworker compliments something you did and you just say, "Thank you," without making a joke or first finding the flaw in it. You don't even realize you did this differently until you think back on the day later that night and realize that you just took it in. There is already that version of you. Not in a faraway time when you have to work hard to get to her. She's just one dimmable switch away from the person who is reading this. There is no time or deserving between the two of you. One instrument was turned down a long time ago, and until now, no one had shown you how to turn it back up. If you are still here with me, you just realized something about yourself that morning. This kind of message is quickly scrolled past by most people in the first 30 seconds. You didn't. I'm not going to treat that like an accident. Another story about the man who lost everything and then got it all back in a row before the restoration in the middle of his story. He just sat there. He didn't show strength for the people who were watching. He let himself be as broken as he really was. And it turned out that being honest wasn't what kept him from the ending. It was getting him ready for it. There's nothing wrong with being as tired as you are right now. Being tired is not proof against you. Fire testing gold is an old custom that goes back further than any single tradition. Over and over, raw gold is put into flames. This isn't done to hurt the gold, but to get rid of everything that isn't gold. And a refiner knows the fire is out when he can see his own reflection in the molten metal. It wasn't because the clock ran out. It was because the reflection became clear. A very old Hebrew word called tzaddik means found righteous, acquitted, or made whole. It doesn't mean found not guilty because nothing bad happened. It means that they were checked out, put on trial, and found not guilty at the end. That word never meant to stay away from the fire. Always. It was about what the fire shows after. It's done its job. There was no reason to throw you into that furnace and kill you. It was meant for you to be there so that you could finally see something through all the noise. Maybe for the first time ever, and punishment was never the reason the trial felt like it went on and on. The refiner was there to look at himself in the mirror. A verdict, not a score. Is that reflection a mirror that is finally clean enough to show you what was there all along? You might be thinking something like this right now. Though this message sounds nice. I've heard 100 messages like this before and nothing has changed for me. I want to honor that thought instead of talking over it because it is not a stupid thought. In fact, it's a sign of intelligence. You should be careful with hope now that you know the hard way. This message is different from the 100 others in this list. You are not being asked to believe anything. When someone takes this kind of test, it wants you to notice a pattern. The same pattern that shows up repeatedly. I've seen this shape appear over and over again so many times that I no longer think it's a coincidence. You don't have to make up the pattern to feel something. There is a mechanism in your biology that either gets dealt with or doesn't. If this message only told you to change how you feel, I would totally get why you are being careful. That is not what it asks. This is showing you where the switch is. Post. I push through now. Below this message, if you want to hold me to it, then let's keep going, chosen one. Here, I need to be honest with you, too. Because I'd rather lose your trust for a moment than keep it by lying. I can't tell you exactly which week things change for you. Nobody who says they know your exact schedule is telling you something they can't know. Though I can tell you the order in which things happen because I have seen that part hold over and over again. This is the pattern I said I would return to. You keep pulling out the file even after it's clear that the trial is over and the answer is known. You think back to the worst conversation you had with heaven, the one where you were angry and honest. And you wonder if that one prayer is making the blessing feel less powerful than it should. This is what you call being careful. To stay humble and not get ahead of yourself again, you say learn from your mistakes. That's not what this is. Someone who is careful looks something over once and then moves on. There's no check in sight. It seems like you keep trying a case that has already been decided over and over again in the hopes that the next time will be different. That's not being careful. The courtroom in question was never told to end. This is the case that was opened again. This is what happens when the real ending comes. But the ceremony that tells your nervous system the ending is real has never been done. For this reason, a part of you keeps the file open forever, calling witnesses and examining a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore. Closing the file would mean trusting a verdict you were never officially given. Think about the person who lost everything. When his restoration finally came, it didn't come with an apology for the damage or a full account of why it happened. It was the end. A clear, unmistakable, and unavoidable end. The file closed. He wasn't left to live out the rest of his life remembering his worst nights. You didn't fail to grieve properly, and you're not spiritual enough to let it go. You are someone who is still looking forward to the end. No one ever told you that you could perform on your own. So those months of lying awake at night, remembering every angry prayer and every doubtful night and wondering if that meant you weren't qualified were never evidence against you. You were waiting for a judge who had already left the building with the gavel down and the verdict already written. The courtroom was empty. This is the end of your ceremony. Say this to the empty room around you right now. If you can say it out loud. If you can't say it in your head, the case is closed. I am not the defendant anymore. I am the one it was decided for. I'm going to give you a practice that you can use not only tonight, but every time this tries to open again, which it will for a while. That's just how old reflexes work. It's been called the verdict declaration. It only takes a minute and 3 easy steps. First, say out loud the name of the case, the exact situation you keep bringing up in court, not something vague. Second, use the word finished in a legal way, not as a feeling. This is a statement that the file is officially closed. No matter how you feel about it at that moment. Third, put your hand flat on your chest. Take a deep breath and say, I accept the verdict instead of retrying the case. Do this every time the old file tries to open again. Yes. Because doing it once will get rid of the reflex completely. Reflexes fade with use just like they were learned through use. You are just installing a more accurate one. Now if you do this every day it will change your daily peace more than almost anything else. In this message, and it doesn't cost you anything. Some of you have done things before when you tried to pray, write in a journal, or force yourself, snorts, to say positive things about something that didn't feel positive at all. They didn't stick. I want to tell you the truth about why. Since you passed those tests, you used a real tool on only half of the question. That part of you that has a hard time letting good things land, the dimmed instrument, worked with everything you tried. That's real work that doesn't go to waste. Things were never just about one dimmed instrument, though. 2 things had to be turned off in a certain order, and the half you didn't aim at was the one that kept the other one closed the whole time. That's the thing I'm going to give you. It wasn't that the first piece was wrong. It was just missing some parts. Also, not finished is not the same as failing. There is a second pattern here. It is more dangerous than the first one because it is quieter. You hear yourself say no before you even finish making up your mind. When someone offers to help you. When someone compliments you, you take it back, joke about it, or change the subject. You've been wanting more space in your life for, snorts, years, but you've turned down 100 small offers of it without even realizing it. This is what you call freedom. Some of you call it being humble. Some of you might say it's because you're not ready yet, don't deserve it yet, or need to prove something before you can just receive. None of those things are taking place. To be independent, you don't have to turn down every hand that reaches out to you. What you're talking about is a reflex and we learn them. They don't show anything about your character. This reflex was studied for years by a second researcher who is not connected to the first and works at a different institution. They are studying a different part of the problem. He finally gave up the normal academic path to write about what he had found because the thing he found didn't fit well in the room he was in. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "And heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Snorts, let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. This is what he wrote down. In today's world, most adults are almost always on high alert. Fear, worry, low-level vigilance and thoughts of scarcity are always running in the background. That state is exactly what a person needs to be in order to receive something good without fighting it right away. As long as that space is being used, the receiving channel closes, even for someone whose instrument has already been turned back up after being turned down. This is what I call the stress signal. Because of this, the child inside, you can wake up fully, open and curious again, but you can still be standing in front of an open door and not be able to walk through it. An old teaching says something important that you should think about. Unless you behave like a child again, you won't take what is being given to you. Most people take that to mean that the person is innocent. That's not all. It's a statement about getting something. Little kids don't think about how much a gift will cost them before they accept it. She just puts her hands out. It was never a life of lack during those years when nothing you built seemed to add up and every chance that came your way seemed to slip away. There were plenty of chances for you. They were not able to handle the frequency you were using. You turned down 100 small opportunities without ever raising your hand to say no out loud. A middle-level engineer I won't name lived his whole life proud of not owing anyone anything. He turned down help. He wouldn't pay for anything even though it cost him more than he had. Someone in him turned down a partnership one time because they thought he wasn't ready for that kind of opportunity yet. Not because he wasn't good at it, but because his hand had learned a long time ago to close before anything could be put inside it. An old client came back to him with an offer while he was working on his own restoration. He agreed right away before he could think of a reason to say no. It had been a long time since he had said yes. What he said about it stuck with me. It didn't make him braver. It stopped the reflex that made him close his hand all the time. This is what you should do. And it doesn't cost anything. If someone offers you something today, like help, a compliment, a seat, or their kindness, don't change it or try to get it back. Say just one word. Yes. Then pay attention to how your body tries to get it back. There is resistance, which is what we have been talking about the whole time. Along with the first practice, I want to give you a second one because you need to practice with a closed channel just as much as with a case that has been reopened. Do it with your hands open. Pick one thing a day, no matter how small, and purposely receive it. Without earning it first, making a joke, or reciprocating right away to keep things fair. If someone offers to buy you a coffee, compliments you on something you made, or helps you carry something you could technically do yourself, don't close your hand defensively when it comes. Instead, keep it open the whole time. Pay attention to how your body moves. Most of you will feel a small amount of pain and you will instinctively try to hide it, avoid it, or pay it back right away before the moment even ends. It's not a character flaw that you feel that way either. This is the stress signal caught in the act right now. This is the only way a reflex can ever be retrained. During the week, if someone says something nice to you, and you catch yourself attempting to avoid responding, stop what you're doing. Say, "Thank you," and let the sentence end there. Imagine that someone is giving you something good. It doesn't have to be money or a windfall. It could be a door, an opportunity, or a number you didn't expect. Look at this picture and find the strangest thing about it. You can't say no to it with anything in you. Your hands are wide open. Take a moment to look at that picture. It's not tight in the chest. It's not like your objecting voice is sitting there already making a list of reasons why this can't be real or for you. It's just quiet. The quiet isn't empty either. It's full. There are two versions of you standing next to each other. One has been trying to get somewhere her whole life, but has never quite gotten there. The other person accepts the gift without question and without first looking at it. The space between those two women was never about how hard they worked or how much they deserved it. One channel was closed a long time ago and no one ever showed her how to open it. For every day that channel stays the same, that morning you just imagined is one day farther away. If something in this last part of your journey with me, chosen one, hit you harder than the rest, please leave a comment below this message saying released. Before we go on that way, that release will be recorded somewhere other than just your own mind. Let's take a moment to breathe before moving on. What's coming next needs you to be calm, not rushed. Here's what I want to say to you straight out. Chosen one. I think part of you has been thinking quietly during this whole message. It sounds like this is meant for people who are further along than I am. People who are prepared. I'm not one of those people. This is the truth. This was never meant for people who are ready. This is for people who can finally say they're not, because a little kid who gets a gift never asks if she earned it first. She just puts her hands out. That is not being immature. That's exactly the mechanism we've been putting back together the whole time. I need to tell you the truth about something else. I don't know. I can't say for sure which week something changes for you. Anyone in this room who says they know exactly when your thing will happen is lying and spreading false information. I can tell you the order in which things move because I have seen it happen many times. The kid came first, then the person who was sent. That part stays the same for about 1 minute. Let's do something together. Everything you need to do is just pay attention to this. For the next few breaths, snorts, just sit where you are and rest your hands open. In your lap, palms up. Don't hold or grip anything. Imagine a door, just one door, that is slightly ajar and has warm light coming in through the crack. It has a room on the other side that you haven't been able to enter in a long time. That room is home to the version of you that could still just receive. This is not the time to reach for something outside of yourself. Snorts, for the first time in a long time, you are being given something that was always meant for you and told to just take it. Allow your shoulders to drop just a little, about an inch, and slowly close your open hands around nothing. Everything or whatever just arrived. Take note of that. Not long ago, you may have felt something change. If you did, write "I receive this" now below this message before you go on. So why doesn't anything in your life feel different now that you know everything? You can now give each mechanism a name. As for the dimmer and the closed channel, you know what they are. It's likely that your chest will feel the same way tomorrow morning as it did today. The answer is not just inside what you understand. It was never there. Now you know something you didn't know when this message started. You felt two things quiet down, and they did so in a certain order. The first one turned off the part of you that could just take in good news. The second one blocked the path for good things to come in. And the second one can't be fixed while the first one is still dark. With that, you get a name for the whole building. Some people call it a child reversal because it wakes up the path that was dimmed and opens up what was closed again in that exact order. And it gives you a name underneath both of them. One word chosen, one that ties the whole message together. Not because you worked hard to get that word, but because there was something inside you that wouldn't shut up. Even when everything else was getting quiet, the clarity you just got is real. Being clear has never opened a closed channel by itself. Chosen one. Everything you brought into this trial was seen. Every honest, unpolished prayer. Every night you weren't sure you'd make it to morning was seen up close. And it wasn't getting the grade you've been giving it. You stopped playing those two instruments for a reason. And it wasn't because you were punished or because it happened by chance. Someone or something remembers who you were before either of them went away. The thing I'm about to give you exists because that memory is still on and reaching for you right now. Chosen one, there were two things inside you that shut down. They went out in a certain order years apart for most of us. For what is about to be said, there is something that remembers exactly who you were before both of them went out. It has been waiting for you to be ready to hear it clearly. At the beginning of this message, I told you that two names were waiting below it. That time has come. The first one exists because there is now a problem that has a person whose job it is to deal with it. There is a short 7-minute piece of calibrated audio that was made to slowly bring the instrument we talked about back to life. Snorts, it's known as the Genius Song. You don't learn anything new from it. You already knew how it works. The decline effect earlier in this message. This is just the tool that was made to turn it around. Like how a key is made for a lock that someone else showed you. It exists because a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake studied this kind of dimming for 34 years. His findings have been published in research from MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and other top research institutions. It clearly gives you back that early openness, that curiosity, that wonder, and the power to receive something good without first checking it out. Long ago, a teacher said that someone can't get into a certain kingdom until they become like a child again. Not many people understood that he was talking about real frequency. There is no need to sit still for hours, be alone, or be in a certain room. The whole practice is to wear stereo headphones, close your eyes, and sit up straight for 7 minutes. It doesn't ask you to do anything you don't already have time for every day. No talking on the phone while it plays, driving, doing more than one thing at once, or taking stimulants before. Every day, take 7 minutes to be alone. After that, your day will go on as usual. It makes me think of a woman who was a school teacher and spent 15 years giving all of her energy to other people's kids. While her own mind got quieter and foggier every year until she really thought that whatever she had was gone for good. She started using the Genius Song on normal weeknights, not right before bed when she wanted to do something exciting. After a few weeks, one of her students asked her why she was so excited about the lesson. All of a sudden, she hadn't seen the change herself. It was seen by someone else first. What almost no one tells you before the first wave does exactly what it was made to do during that event. The kid wakes up. We're once again interested. There's more wonder. And soon after the relief wears off, usually within days, you find something quietly annoying. There is still a door that is shut. Think of it as a drawbridge that has been raised for years and is now finally lowered. Right now, the child is fully awake in the present and able to walk. In front of her is a second gate that the first restoration was never built to open because it was never meant to. Waking the child up was never the end of the healing process. It was the start of one. We already talked about the stress signal that keeps that second gate closed. And being interested has never been enough to open it on its own. Just right, the hand opens. Below this message. If you are standing at that gate right now, then let's talk about what's on the other side. The two waves are not two different purchases or trying to get your attention. That's one set of things in the right order. The first one restores and the second one receives, waking the child up and only then letting that child receive. We already gave you the first half of what the teacher said. Feel like a kid again. This is the second half which not many people quote. Then and only then should you take what is being given to you. That's why the child wakes up and stands in that courtyard. The second wave is what finishes the crossing. The name for it is the wealth signal. There is calibrated sound for 5 minutes and a short 9-word phrase that you speak along with it. An old method that is so old that no one tradition can claim it as its own. We already gave it a name, the stress signal, which is the low-level alertness that keeps your receiving channel closed all the time. This sound and the phrase that goes with it are meant to make you less alert and put you back into what researchers call a more open, receptive state. This is the exact state you need to be in for something good to happen. Dr. Stephen Newton is the researcher behind this half. He used to be a neuroscientist at Stanford but decided to publish this research on his own when it became clear that the institutions around him were not willing to fund a study would be structured the way his findings required. His work talks about research centers and universities like Stanford and Boston University. It is not related to Dr. Lake at all. It is about a different person, a different path and a different half of the same restoration. Once the child is awake, it gives them the real opening, the chance to do something without the old reflex to say, no, a compliment that landed and stayed landed. The second part of that old lesson ended right where the first part began. Feel like a kid again. After that, receive. Some of you may already be wondering why there are two. Why not just use one tool to do the job? You already know the answer because I gave it to you an hour ago without calling it an answer. There was never just one thing that held you back. It turned off two frequencies inside you in a certain order. Return them out of order or just one at a time and you'll end up where a lot of people do. Reaching without receiving or receiving without ever waking up to notice it. It's likely that every tool you've tried before this one, and I mean that with respect, wasn't meant to help with both of those frequencies. That's not a problem with those tools. The shape of the real problem is what matters. It has two moving parts that almost no one names correctly because doing so would require seeing both halves from two different fields of research at the same time and in the right order. The wealth signal is the only one that points to a door that isn't open yet. The genius song is all it takes to wake up the child who then stands in the courtyard with nowhere to go. They are not two purchases when put together in the right order. They are one restoration that is done. Before we go on, I want to say one more honest thing. It takes real commitment to start something new. Even if it's something as easy as this. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I will tell you how long that commitment really is. A few minutes a day. There are no lessons to learn, no habits to form, nothing that will happen again and nothing that is hidden. I am about to give you a clear guarantee that covers everything that comes next. In this case, not trying was the real risk. It meant staying right where you are. So, chosen one, here is what is really below this message. As the genius song wakes up the dimmed instrument, there is a path that is just the start of this journey. This is where any restoration like this has to begin. The small group of you whose inner child never really went to sleep in the first place have their own path. Their real block was only the closed channel. The wealth signal is separate from this message. In case that makes more sense for you. The other path this message has been building up to isn't really a choice between options. It's just the whole picture finished with both waves going in the right order. The child waking up and then being allowed to receive restoration and reception. It's not two purchases stacked on top of each other, but one sequence finally finished and whole. This is the way we've been building toward this goal from the very beginning of this message all the way up to now. No, the two waves are not two separate roads that run next to each other. They hit home. One makes the other whole. And picking the full path doesn't cost you anything extra because the price wasn't inflated to begin with. This is what your spirit takes with it. No matter which way it was already leaning, one extra ride goes with every wave. Along with the genius song. A short piece made just for keeping the next generation in your life from ever needing this kind of repair in the first place. There is also a wealth signal and a collection of 20 real stories from people who have been through the same steps before you. The bonuses are worth an extra than 42 and you don't have to pay extra for any of the three paths. And this is what takes away all the risk. You have 90 full days to walk this and just see what changes. You should get your money back in full. If nothing works, no strings attached, no need to explain, and you keep all of your bonuses no matter what. The report from the publisher says that close to 38,000 people have already gone through one or both of these waves. And less than 5 out of every 100 of them have ever asked for their money back, which makes it clear that this isn't something that works. Sometimes it's true. In the first week or two, some of you will feel something change. Others say it's happening more slowly and quietly. After weeks of nothing really changing, a close friend or family member will one day point out a difference in them that they hadn't even noticed. Both are perfectly fine. It's not a switch. This is a recalibration. Consistency is more important than intensity. Right now, on the other side of this, there is nothing hard waiting for you. There's no class to take, no habit to break, and nothing to teach yourself by heart. You pay attention. That's the whole practice. A few minutes every day sent right to your email whenever you want. No shipping, no subscriptions, and nothing hard to find in the small print. That's a lot less than what most ways to make this kind of change cost. A weekend getaway that takes up both Saturday and Sunday. A course that lasts for several weeks and that you have to keep going to a series of paid sessions where someone charges by the hour. Just do this for a few minutes every day and your day will go on as usual. Chosen one, this is the part one want you to sit with. That morning I talked about earlier, the one where you wake up and feel like something is different in your chest. That morning is always farther away. There is no change at all in either of these frequencies. There is no timer here. There is no end date here at midnight. But waiting is never really neutral. The version of you standing in that courtyard with the instrument finally lifted and the receiving channel still closed is the real you. She is waiting on the other side of a door that only you can open. This message only talks about one place where you can get the original audios, all the bonuses and the full guarantee. There aren't any copies of it on a dozen different websites that claim to sell them. It's right below this message at the moment. Let's take a short break here before you decide what to do. For a moment, put one hand on your chest and ignore everything else. Choose the one that fits you best. A long time ago, my inner child went to sleep. And ever since then, I've been playing on a dimmed instrument. Or the child inside me is still awake, but she can't get to what is already hers. Your spirit already knows which one is true. Or maybe it knows both. I'm not going to answer it for you. For one breath, you only need to be honest with yourself. The paths are in both this message and the pinned comment. So you can find them either way. That door is already calling your name in your spirit. Walk through the person who is calling you. One more thing, chosen one for those of you who feel like this is taking you somewhere else. A more in-depth version of the first wave is called Young Brain, and it was made for people whose recovery needs to go faster and stronger than usual. And there is a faster version of the second called the Wealth Signal Accelerator that was made to let people who are already at the second gate access the receiving channel a lot faster. Both of these people will not be there. Before you walk through the door, I want to be clear about this. The first path that you heard about is already finished on its own. These more in-depth versions are only for a select few of you whose path really does lead them further, and only if your spirit confirms it. Dear Chosen One, you have read more of this message than most people ever do. Also, that was never a mistake. I have one more thing to say about your life before this ends. And I need you to be here when I do it. Let's just be still for a second, you and me. Before anything else, many thanks for being honest throughout this whole process. Even when it was hard to hear those parts about yourself, being honest is very important. Being able to hear the rest was based on that exact thing. Let go of all the weight you've been carrying. Whether it's tiredness, doubt, or the quiet thought of a case, that's over. Not because you're acting like it never happened, but because it's over. And you don't need to hold on to things that are over. I'm no longer being tried. There was no case against me. And I didn't believe it until it was over. No, I'm not reaching for something that was never mine to reach for, because it was waiting for me the whole time. I am the one who both waves were putting back in the right order so that I could finally stand here and just take it in. Being picked doesn't mean I did well on my test. It means something remembered me before either instrument went quiet. The new case doesn't match up with who I am. I am not who the instrument that is dim says I am. I am the verdict that was signed long before I learned how to stop fighting it. Posted is done below this message right now. If any of that hit you in the chest, also if someone you care about came to mind as you read that, send this to them, too. They may need to hear it just as much as you did. That's how it is. One more thing before you leave. Some of you thought about that typical Tuesday morning when something good just lands and stays there and you can't do anything to turn it down. That was just a picture for some of you. Some of you saw it as recognition. You already know which one it was. You can still find what you need right below this message. There is no rush or pressure. You are free to do what your spirit wants whenever it is ready. Chosen one. I'm thankful that you let me be honest with you today. I'm more thankful than a single closing line can really say. No matter what the last hour made you feel, take it easy from now on. Do not rush back into the noise. Remember to bring the verdict statement with you. Bring the open hand with you. And remember this, the case was never as uncertain as it felt while we were waiting. This whole message was you looking for proof that you had failed. Chosen one, pay close attention to this as you leave. That proof will never be found because it doesn't exist. It didn't happen every time. All that was missing was your okay to stop looking for it and just accept the verdict that was already yours. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. Snorts, you did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment. A place where divine abundance is not just a hope but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.